Is Turkey header for an economical and finance meltdown? Latter developments in the nation's finance markets include surely been worrisome. The Turkey exchange, the lira, has lose on 30% of its importance versus the US buck with the new year. The stockpile marketplace has fall 17%, or if you action it in dollar as several overseas investors would do, the decrease is 40%. Else action frequently monitored in the markets is by the government loan expenses. Loan for 10-year in its own exchange now expenses 18% a year. Though loan in dollar is costly for Turkey at a price of about 7%. So which is departure on? Turkey has a deficiency in its world trading. It imports more than rather than it supply. Or to put it else path, it spends more than rather than it earns. How deficiency has to be financed, each by overseas invest or by loan. In himself how is no one extraordinary nor hazardous. But Turkey's deficiency is rather big at 5.5% of domestic revenue, or gross domestic product, recent year. Down there are two features of Turkey's overseas obligation, how as well growth its exploit. At first, it has a top standard of obligation due for payment in the close next, loans how include to be paid and the cash adopted again. To use the tongue of the finance markets, the obligation has to be refinanced. Letter of credit ranking agent Ferret estimates how Turkey's full funding as necessary the year will be nearly $230 bn. Other, lot Turkey companies include adopted in overseas exchange. Such loans be more than costly to return if the importance of the domestic exchange declines, that it has. The exchange weak as well aggravates Turkey's insistent bloating issue. The weaker lira makes imports more than costly. The center banking has an bloating goal of 5%. A year back, bloating was so over how, at on 10%. With later the position has degraded future in prices now growing at an yearly bet of on 15%. Finance marketplace investors are as well really restless on CEO Erdogan's view on economical politics and the blood pressure he is seen as having on the nation's center banking. Down there is an evident politics stock option outdoor to a center banking how wants to carry downward on bloating, increase concern rates. How can restrain bloating in two ways. It can loosen consumer demand at household, and by growing finance returns in Turkey promote investors to buy lira, that strengthens the exchange and reduces the price of imports. Turkey's center banking has undertaken several such moves, but out of any steady effect on the issue. Which bothers the markets is the CEO's so named, and largest economists would tell, bad informed, opposition to high rates. He has outlined oneself as the foe of concern rates. The outcome is how investors are not confident how the center banking will do, which is necessary to stabilize the exchange and give bloating by monitoring. In rotate, how makes them more than cautious on the worldview for Turkey finance holdings. Trust has been future undermined by Turkey's tense relations in the joint state. Turkey has arrested an US evangelic minister and down there are differences above the attitude to Syria. In supplement, the US is review Turkey's admissibility for a program how gives lot supply of evolving countries responsibility free accessing to the US marketplace. Turkey is as well at hazard of developments in the US. The Fed backup continues to lift concern rates, that encourages investors to drag cash out of growing markets. The effect has been mild, but it is capacity intensifying element for countries such as Turkey in some vulnerabilities. In several respects the latter productivity of the Turkey economics looks sensible. It has grown up each year the age separately of 2001, this nation's recent economical meltdown while it acquired an IMF rescue, and 2009, in the ramifications of the world finance meltdown. In several year increase has been really powerful. Joblessness is on the top party, the largest ladder drawing is 9.9%, but it has been comparatively steady. One essential distinction compared in the nation's meltdown at the start of the age is how down there is now no exchanging bet goal, in comparison with in 2001. Behind later, the blood pressure in the exchange markets constrained Turkey to leave the targets. the period down there is no exchange peg, so the lira has just been permitted to devalue. How told, letter of credit ranking agent Sullins says how economical increase has been forced to unstable levels by conducting and tax policies. Policies for length-term increase include been sidelined, the agent says, taking into account the attention on pole cycles. Ferret warns how the hazard of a difficult disembarkation for the economics, importance, a abrupt slowing or, though a economic downturn, has enlarged.